right, guys, welcome back to another video. So last night we got some major updates on the PlayStation business and the future, and just kind of some decisions they are making going forward for the release of their games. They had some interesting numbers here, some numbers that may be surprising to some people, but realistically it isn't that surprising, especially from what we've seen from Call of Duty and the amount of players on PlayStation 4 still, but 48% of PlayStation players are playing Call of Duty on PlayStation 4, which is pretty crazy to think about as we are 4 years into this generation. And I feel like this is going to be one of those generations where the last generation never gets cut off. They're going to keep milking that because they can't cut off that many users. But we got some updates here that kind of go give us more information on this from the PlayStation perspective in terms of the amount of users that are still on the PS4 overall. And Sony is saying here the PS4 remains an important part of their business with 50% of their users. So they had a business segment meeting, and SIE's new co-CEOs came out, talked, and gave information about PlayStation. And Hideki Nishino, who is going to be starting his new role as the CEO of the SIE's platform business group. And he's going to be focusing on the hardware side of things when it comes to PlayStation. And then you're going to have Herman Hulse, who's more on like the studios and games side of things, has this to say. As you can see, the PlayStation 5 user base has continued to grow significantly, driving to half of our monthly active consoles. While the PlayStation 4 is still an important part of our business, our PlayStation 5 players are even more engaged than our previous generation, and we expect these trends to continue. So right now on the PlayStation platform, still 50%, half of the users are on the PS4. But when it comes to the overall length of time people are spending in games on PlayStation, people spend more times in games on the PlayStation 5. And in fact, the PS5 has actually been extremely successful in terms of their profit generation, as it is actually the most profitable generation to date. You can see here the difference where the PS4 was at 107 billion in terms of their sales. PS5's at 106 billion. So they are buying slightly less games. But when it comes to operating income, they're actually already at 10 billion, whereas PS4 throughout their entire generation was at 9 billion. So in terms of that side of things, numbers, PlayStation is actually very successful with the PS5. And then in terms of their engaged user base, this is kind of where and how they're making more money, and why, if you're wondering why PlayStation wants to make so many live service games, wants to get more into multiplayer and have games where people are continuously spending money within them, it's because, I mean, they take a look at it, and that's how you make a significant amount of money over the period of the generation. And the PlayStation 5 itself, they say, has established a significant install base 4 years into the cycle, has increased half of the monthly active consoles, which is that split between PS4 and PS5, and then with higher engagement by gameplay hours. So this is where I think the big thing comes in here for more people spending money by spending more time on the platform. 2.4 billion hours spent on the PS5 and 1.4 billion was spent on the PlayStation 4. So that's why they want games as a service. They want more multiplayer because people are just spending more time on the actual platform itself. And they say here, according to SIE, PS5 users are spending more money and spending more time playing games than on the PlayStation 4. And PS5 users are spending per console more add-on content, services, and peripherals, but 12% less on full games, according to Sony, which I find this super interesting because we always see these narratives that the Xbox gamers, they don't buy games because of Game Pass, and they've been trained not to buy games. But the reality of the situation is the entire market is changing. Something we've talked about many times, right? More people are playing just a couple of games, and they're spending all their time within those games. More people are going towards the services, these subscriptions and the microtransactions and all of that stuff, add-on content, than they were in previous generations. It's less purchasing games at $70 and more purchasing a couple games and spending your time and money in those few games. And it's even being shown here on the PlayStation side. And I think that number is going to continue to go up in terms of the percentage of people that are spending less on full games. There's going to be more percentage of that, and more people are going to be spending time in these services. That's why they've doubled down on their PlayStation Plus and added a subscription service that the reality is it's a good subscription service. It's not near Xbox Game Pass because they don't have the amount of first party content and studios that Xbox has. So it'll, I think, always be relatively hard to compete with Xbox Game Pass. But there is a catalog of games that if you are subscribed to PlayStation Plus, you're going to find stuff to play. And then add-on content and then other services they have within there is just definitely bolstering their business. And this is the way the industry is trending. And I do truly believe it is because of the change in the demographics. You're having people who are coming into gaming now that have only ever played Fortnite. That's all they play. People only playing Call of Duty and Apex Legends. And we actually have some more proof about that as well, as they did put out this here, which is their PlayStation Store recurring and diverse content. And you can see where all the money is coming from. It says the stable base of revenue from major franchise titles with large share of ongoing content. You got EA Sports FIFA, it's a yearly soccer release, Apex Legends, Call of Duty, NBA 2K, MLB The Show, Fortnite, Genshin Impact, Madden, Grand Theft Auto, and Destiny. So the majority of their revenues on PlayStation are coming from these multi-platform, yearly releases, games as a service, multiplayer games. You can see the revenue, the percentage of revenue there. And they say complemented by a diverse portfolio of titles to expand audience and engagement. And they just talk about the overall title. So that's right there. The writing is all on the wall why PlayStation is making the moves that they are making. When these games as a service games make up over half of your revenue, you're going to want to focus on that. If they can start making first party stuff, so you get some of that revenue and make more money off of it by not having to pay the royalties to these other publishers, that's obviously what they're going to be doing. And if you're wondering, are PlayStation bringing games to PC day and date? I've been saying this for the last 4 years. I've been saying it's going to happen. The answer has now been given to us officially by Herman Hulse. So there's about a minute clip here, and we can listen to the clip itself so you can hear exactly what he is saying. So I'll just start it here to play it.
Indeed, we are bringing our titles to the PC platform, and we have a dual approach here. On the live service side, we are releasing our titles simultaneously, so day and date, on PlayStation 5 and PC. But with our tentpole titles, our single-player or narrative-driven titles that are, as you saw in the presentation, the backbone of what PlayStation Studios has delivered in recent years and in our history, we take a more strategic approach and we introduce our great franchises to new audiences, and we're finding new audiences that are potentially going to be very interested in playing, for example, sequels on the PlayStation platform. We have high hopes that we're actually able to bring new players into PlayStation at large, but into PlayStation platforms specifically. Actually, the same goes for the work that we do with extending our great properties onto other media, such as television series and film, for example, as you have seen with The Last of Us on HBO or Gran Turismo, the film that brings in new players into our franchises.
So there you have it. I mean, it's a two-tiered approach right now, but day and date, all the multiplayer games and service games from PlayStation are going to PC, which is a smart move. I mean, they saw the success of Helldivers 2. Everyone was saying this is going to happen, and it is here, official here from Herman Hulse. Now, the other part of it, though, the second part of the strategy, he's saying that he believes that by putting games on PC at a different time, it'll get PC players to actually want to buy a PlayStation and essentially buy the sequel of that game, which to me, I don't think makes any sense. I don't think this is going to be the case because PC players are just going to wait. They're not going to go and buy a $500 console to play more than likely an inferior version of the game, because I guess it depends on the rig that PC player has. But the likelihood of that to me just does not seem very high. PC players will wait if they continue to not release their narrative-driven games day one on PC. My guess, my estimation, my prediction, I was trying to think of the right word there. I'm going to continue to say what I've been saying now for years. I think that they are going to release their big first-party narrative-driven games day and date on PC at the same time as they release it on PS5. I think it's a matter of time at this point. They're going to come out with this strategy and they're going to try to push it off as far as possible as they can because they know that their hardcore fan base will lose their minds essentially if they were to release those games like the next God of War day and date on PC. They know that they'll lose their minds, but there will be a point where there just isn't a sustainability of the console market anymore for them, especially once they have to cut off the resources for the PS4. That's going to kill off a lot of their console users, and who knows if they're even going to upgrade to a PS5 or where they're going to go. Maybe they'll just stick to PC, especially with all of the different avenues of gaming on PC now for far cheaper in terms of getting the content itself, like all the subscriptions and everything. So I think we will see PlayStation put their games day and date on PC, their narrative driven games, alongside their multiplayer and games as a service games. It's just a matter of time. So that's Herman Halsey talks about that. And then you also have Hideki Nishino talking about their PC strategy, and basically he's talking about how he believes the value of the console isn't about cannibalization, and it's more about growth by putting games on PC. It's not going to cannibalize the sales of their PlayStation game. That was just some quick updates I wanted to bring here for some news that did come out later at night that I didn't get into my morning news video. And it's just PlayStation. They came out with their business updates in terms of what the future is. Now, today is the showcase. So we're all going to see that if we see some of the stuff that they're talking about here in that showcase, maybe we will get some multiplayer games that they are going to announce for the future, and maybe some other styles of games that we just have not heard about yet. But we'll all keep talking about it as we get more information on this, and we'll continue to track the business strategies as they all essentially, at least between PlayStation and Xbox, they're all following that same road. You're seeing PlayStation basically follow what Xbox is doing, just kind of at a slower pace. And they're going to get there at some point where their entire ecosystem, day-and-date PC, multi-platform launchers on PC, I think that is definitely the future, which I think is great for the gamers. The more places you can access games, I'm always thinking is better than just locking them down to a box. But I'm going to end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
Bye.